if you know me, you'll know I'm against censorship. So then instead of censorship, I'll do you one better. Let's take a magnifying glass to my antagonistic provocateur. So I have somebody, we'll call him TC. He comes onto the channel and starts criticizing my views on spiral dynamics and my teachings, which is fine. So he starts off calling me brother and strongly recommends that I abstain from glorifying higher memes. Now, a meme is like a self-replicating idea. It doesn't really make sense to refer to stages of spiral dynamics as memes, in my opinion. But I know what he means, so we're just gonna go on. They're not better or even more desirable, he says. Now, better is kind of a loaded statement. For certain things, it is better. You see, higher consciousness brings more truth to the holder of the higher consciousness. Now, yes, maybe somebody will misuse these truths, and in such a situation, it's not better. But if you can detect more pertinent truths from your environment, and if you can see how everything fits in the big picture, the way stage yellow does in tier 2 of spiral dynamics in general, then you have more leverage. And Better You, Better World is a channel about personal development. So we do seek to climb the spiral, so to speak. Since this is a personal development channel, it's not like I'm glorifying and saying, oh, once you're in yellow, everything's fine. Or once you're in turquoise, the world becomes perfect. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you have more potential to make a huge difference in your world, to make more intelligent choices. Your decision making is better, and you can act with more wisdom. So I would like to respectfully disagree with TC. So in my reply, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I pointed out that I really did talk about the dangers of orange, green, yellow people, which is relatively high up there. I've been quite objective in discussing the good and the bad aspects to each stage. And he says he's seen my videos, but at the same time, he says I only glorify the higher memes. And in his comment, he says that yellow does not look unfavorably at blue. Yellow recognizes that blue is more important than yellow because, and then he goes on, but I'm going to stop you right there because I never said that. Never said yellow looks down on blue. Quite the opposite. I have said, here, I'll put it up on the screen right now, what I've said about yellow and blue. Blue and yellow are near opposite ends of the consciousness spectrum, but they both genuinely share the common ideal of respect for one's own heritage. Yellow just sees it in the full global context, while blue sees it only from their own perspective. So, if you're gonna quote somebody and try to argue them, you want to get the quote right. You want to represent your opponent's viewpoint properly. So, he's refuting a straw man, essentially. He's not properly representing my argument. Now, another thing, he says, it's best to forget that yellow and turquoise exist. I mean, that's your opinion. I disagree. It's not better to pretend any aspects of reality don't exist. You're better off engaging reality. This is spiral dynamics. We're not talking about something holy and intangible. Every stage is increasingly more advanced, but at the same time, it's all within the realm of humanity. And I agree. You don't want to focus on yellow and turquoise when you're just getting used to this thing, when you're trying to figure everything out, when you're trying to work from a lower stage. You got to work your way up. But this is somewhat of an advanced channel, and I even put the advanced tag on a lot of my yellow and turquoise content because it's not for everybody. But that being said, a lot of people are curious. And I've been working with spiral dynamics for a long time, and I'm happy to share my knowledge with people who are curious to learn. I've also done a lot of work on spiral dynamics. I've created lists of tactics for each color, and nobody else has ever done that. And I've got the analysis down to a science, and I'm happy to share that with people so people can use spiral dynamics to their advantage. I also told them I would suggest a less combative approach where you don't just assume people are wrong, especially if you're coaching other people. You really want to be understanding. You want to give people the benefit of the doubt. So he called me brother earlier. Now he's calling me friend. But my friend, you are wrong. Emphasis on are. I've been studying and using spiral for almost 20 years now. But perhaps that's why Spiral hasn't taken off like it should. It's difficult for us to understand. I've been working on developing it into a curriculum for children. But if a smart guy like you can still get it wrong, maybe that's a bit far-fetched. So there's incredible snideness. The assertion that I don't understand spiral dynamics on my own platform is kind of ridiculous. I've been clearly putting a lot of work into this, and 20 years is a long time. So where's your body of work? And he didn't even reply to the fact that he mischaracterized my stance, where he said that I thought yellow looked down on blue. See, when mature adults misquote somebody in what is supposed to be something like an intellectual debate, then you're supposed to apologize for mischaracterizing their argument. And I replied to TC and I told him that for somebody who's been studying spiral dynamics for so long, his ego's getting out of control. Like, what kind of ego does it take to go to somebody who is working really hard to produce free content, self-consistent body of work with full coverage of all of the stages of spiral dynamics, to go onto that platform and assert to them they're wrong, to misquote them, to continue to argue after they were proven wrong? The mature thing to do is to apologize. After I call him out for having an ego, he says, objectively, we have to be able to point out where things don't fit. There's nothing egotistical about saying something is right or wrong. And yes, that's true. If I was out there spouting nonsense, you would have every right, maybe even a duty, to correct me. But I told you, you misrepresented my argument. I proved it to you. You never apologized. And anybody whose ego is under control would clearly step back and say, oh yeah, you got me. Yep, that's right. My bad. And for somebody who calls me brother and friend, you'd think he'd give me that courtesy. So if you're making things up, it is egotistical. And he says, what I'm seeing is people who are attracted to spiral have poorly developed warm-colored memes. I agree. Let's see where he's going with this. Like, if you think me pointing out incorrect assertions about spiral is rude, you probably have some self-expression to work on yourself. Again, I don't think you calling me out would be rude, assuming I was wrong. But I wasn't. This is a personal development channel. We don't glorify high memes, just like we don't glorify rich people. We don't glorify any particular class of people. All we do is work on ourselves, improve to our own best capabilities, become the best versions of ourselves. And I told him he still has yet to apologize to me for misquoting me. And so I mentioned, you've got me completely wrong, and I'm not sure there is any way I can communicate that to you. That's what this video is as well. I'm really just trying to communicate to you. So then another person, Michael, who has been leaving very insightful comments on my videos, kind of stood up for me a little bit, and he mentioned that he doesn't think I'm idealizing higher stages or judging first tier, and so he was defending me, and he agrees with my point. Then Tyson steps in and completely hijacks the conversation and says, the problem isn't really his fault. It takes a long time studying spiral to figure out that mentioning yellow and above is a distraction. There aren't any problems in yellow, and if there were, you need to be implementing the lower memes to solve them. Okay, so there are people who haven't studied spiral dynamics for a long time, people I have taught myself, who have gotten a lot from it. So your assertion that it takes a long time to understand, maybe people you have met haven't understood where you're coming from, but I'm finding a really positive response from my teachings to people on spiral dynamics. And he says there aren't any problems in yellow. And that's just not true. I mean, it's just not true. At the meta level, the problems in yellow are deep, existential, philosophical problems. You're dealing with high-level concepts. I mean, there's incredible yellow problems, you know? Systems thinking is a yellow approach to solving problems. Does that make sense? I did a whole video about systems thinking. Anyways, let's go on and see what else he had to say. He says, just imagine that there's another system without the second tier. Now you've just got 6 memes, as he calls them. Teaching people the importance of these 6 only and omitting second tier you're automatically operating from second tier. And that's why mentioning it is so grating, he says. Well, first of all, he did just mention it there. Second of all, you can't say, assume it doesn't exist, but then you do this and then you're operating in yellow. Do you see the contradiction? I mean, it does exist. He said if we weren't obsessed with the top, we'd be able to have discussion without calling each other egotistical just for pointing out when we're wrong. You remember that? You didn't point out that I was wrong. You misquoted me. You argued my straw man. You didn't argue my points. You didn't even reply to my points. And I'm not obsessed with the top. I cover the whole spiral. There aren't many people that can communicate high-level spiral dynamics. And if I can manage to do that, as many of my viewers have credited me for, then I certainly will continue. And I'm not really deterred by your comment. I find your whole energy to be very juvenile and almost malicious. He says it's a shame to know that Spiral, if educated, would all but eliminate the partisanship and political bickering today. But even its practitioners get it wrong. It's just not able to be applied. And I mean, there's no guarantee educating people about spiral dynamics would solve all the world's problems. I agree it would help though. And him saying that it has practitioners sounds weird to me. Like, we don't practice spiral dynamics. It's not a religion. It's just a model to help you understand patterns of consciousness growth. There's no way to practice spiral dynamics. And he left another comment saying, people absolutely skip stages. How do you explain the plethora of green college students? You think they have well-developed red and orange memes? He says. All right, so in modern-day America, most high school students are in orange. People climb right up to the level of their society relatively quickly. Obviously, there'll be more purple, red, blue students than there will be in adulthood, but really the majority of students are in orange. They're managing their schedules. They're trying to advance their community standings, and they're trying to get into a good college. This is sort of an orange existence, and a lot of people are in orange when they go to college and become green. And I wouldn't say everybody in college is green. There's also people all over the place. I do agree, plenty people are in green, but certainly high school to college is not an example of skipping stages, okay? And since the stages build upon each other, really stages are not skipped. Maybe it can happen very, very quickly. Maybe in a single day you can climb 2 stages, but there has to be a mechanism to get you there. By definition, each stage builds upon the prior. So, TC, my advice to you, humble yourself. I know 9 out of 10, 99 out of 100 people that you go around correcting, maybe these people don't stand up to you, but I'm the one that's not gonna let it slide. Humble yourself. Keep your ego in check. Admit when you're wrong. It makes you look so much better. Clearly you want to look good. You said you've been watching my videos for a while. How about something positive? How about not trying to find problems where there really aren't any? I don't see any signs of wisdom in our interactions. I see somebody who desperately wants to be right, who doesn't want to let somebody else shine. And truth is good, and higher consciousness rapidly brings truth to the holder. So yes, it is in a person's best interest, if they're working on personal development, to become higher consciousness. You are allowed to disagree with me, but I've spent thousands of hours putting together a tangible, self-consistent body of work to the benefit of anyone who wants to grow. And I've mentored dozens of people every year. I just got out of a leadership, mentorship, teaching seminar, 12 hours long. And so the danger of talking about topics such as spirituality, high consciousness, wisdom, things like that, is you get these gurus going around trying to one-up each other. So spiral dynamics is a tool for understanding. It's not a religion. It's not some way of life you practice. It's a model to help describe the many ways of life which existed before it and will continue to exist whether or not spiral dynamics is discussed overtly. So, TC, come at me with better energy. I'll let you back. I need that apology though. I don't like having my arguments mischaracterized, and I don't like to go through all this trouble to clear things up with somebody who's being very difficult. But I'm using a thorn to remove another thorn. I'm hoping I can reach you this time. Shoot me an email, and even if you never admit it, I hope that this interaction helps you grow. Thank you.